Today I'm going to show you some beginner's yoga postures that you can practice at home. These are great for those who are just starting out. Enjoy the video. Bridge pose is known as Setu Bandhasana in Sanskrit. Setu means bridge. As you form a bridge with your chest, hips, and legs, visualize a tall bridge arching over a rushing river. Lie on your back with your knees bent, feet flat on the floor, hip-width apart. Stretch your arms down along your sides, palms facing down. Breathe in. As you breathe out, roll your hips up from the floor, starting with the tailbone, then through your middle back and upper back until you have lifted your hips as high as you can. Keep your feet flat on the floor and press your palms and shoulders into the floor. Make sure that your knees point forward in line with your hips and feet. Stay there for several slow breaths. Each time you breathe out, try to raise your hips a little higher. On an out breath, slowly roll down out of the pose, starting with your upper back, then your middle back, and finally your tailbone. Bridge pose strengthens the back and stretches the front of the body. If bridge pose hurts your back, then roll your hips up only until your body forms a straight slanted line from your knees to your shoulders. Cobra pose means Bhujanga in Sanskrit, which means serpent snake. As you practice Cobra, pretend that you're a snake stretching slowly and gracefully towards the sky. Lie on your stomach and bend your elbows so that your hands are flat on the floor beneath your shoulders. Keep your legs together. As you breathe in, bring your head up, leading with the chin. Continue pushing up until your chest is completely off the floor and your arms are as straight as possible. Keep your elbows close to your ribs and pull your shoulders down so your neck feels long. Look up at the ceiling. Stay there for a few breaths. On an out breath, slowly lower back to the starting position. Cobra pose strengthens the back and arms, stretches the front of the body, and opens the chest and improves your posture. If this pose hurts your lower back, do the modified version of Cobra. Instead of coming up onto your hands, come up onto your forearms. Look forward and slightly up rather than directly up at the ceiling. Half tortoise is a variation of child's pose. It's a resting pose that's good to do after a difficult or backward bending pose like Cobra. Imagine that the curve of your back is the rounded shell of a tortoise. Kneel on your hands and knees with your hands directly beneath your shoulders and your knees under your hips. Keep your palms flat on the floor with your fingers spread apart and the tops of your feet flat on the floor without your toes tucked under. Keep your back flat so that it's parallel to the floor. Don't raise your head. Keep the back of your neck in line with your back so that you form a straight line from your tailbone to the top of your head. Breathe in. As you breathe out, push your hips back and sit with the bottom resting on your heels. Rest your head on the floor. Keep your arms stretched out in front of you, palms flat on the floor, and let your whole body relax. Stay there for several breaths. Half tortoise stretches the arms, back, and shoulders and massages the stomach and pelvic area. If your knees feel uncomfortable, put a cushion under them. If they hurt, don't do the pose. Do the cat pose instead. Have you ever seen a cat arching and stretching after a nap? In this pose, you stretch like a lazy cat. Kneel on your hands and knees with your hands directly beneath your shoulders and your knees under your hips. Keep your palms flat on the floor with your fingers spread apart and the tops of your feet flat on the floor without your toes tucked under. Keep your back flat so that it's parallel to the floor. Don't raise your head. Keep the back of your neck in line with your back so that you form a straight line from your tailbone to the top of your head. Breathe in. As you breathe out, curve your back over so it is as rounded as possible. Your tailbone is tucked under and your head is dropped down. Imagine that you are curving the front of your body over a big ball. Stay in this position for a few breaths. Breathing in, arch upward so that the top of your head and your tailbone are pointing at the ceiling and your back is dropped in a curve. Now imagine that the ball is resting on top of your back, in the curve your back is making. Try to make your waist long and draw your shoulders away from your neck. Stay there for a few breaths. Return to the starting position. Cat pose makes the spine and pelvis more flexible. It tones the front of the body and builds strength in the arms. The cat is also a great warm-up. Instead of holding in each position, keep it moving, arching upward on the in-breath and downwards on the out-breath. Do 8 sets. A set is 1 downward arch and 1 upward arch. Child's pose, Balasana, is an excellent resting posture to do after a difficult or backward bending pose, or one that works the arms and shoulders like downward dog. Bala means child, and Balasana gets its name from the fact that some babies sleep in this position. So go back a few years and pretend that you're a snoozing baby. Kneel on your hands and knees with your hands directly beneath your shoulders and your knees under your hips. Keep your palms flat on the floor with your fingers spread apart and the tops of your feet flat on the floor without your toes tucked under. Keep your back flat so that it is parallel to the floor. Breathe in. As you breathe out, push your hips back and sit with your bottom resting on your heels. Bring your arms around to your sides with the palms facing up. Let your shoulders drop forward over your knees. Rest your forehead to the floor. Let your whole body relax. Stay in this posture for several breaths. Child's pose stretches the lower back and massages the stomach and pelvic area. If you feel too much weight on your forehead, put a cushion under your head. The same goes for your knees. If your knees actually hurt, don't do this posture. In this pose, pose of 8 points, your body makes a zigzag. Your heels, your bottom, and the top of your head form the upward pointing zigs. Line your stomach with your palms flat on the floor beneath your shoulders and your forehead resting on the floor. Breathe in. Breathing out, tuck your toes under, lift your bottom into the air, and raise your head. You should be resting on 8 parts of your body: your toes, your knees, your chest, your chin, and your hands. Your knees and elbows are bent, your bottom is lifted, your back is arched, and your head is raised. As you lift your bottom, your knees will move forward slightly on the floor. Stay there for a few breaths. On an out breath, untuck your toes, lower your stomach, and return to the starting position. This pose stretches the stomach and strengthens the lower back. If this hurts your knees, put cushioning under them. Sukha means joy or pleasure, and Sukhasana, seated twist, is the easiest of the seated postures. This version adds a twist to spice things up. As you twist around, visualize a barber's pole with colored stripes twisting around and up to help you sit taller and twist around farther. With your legs crossed, sit as tall and straight as you can. Pull your shoulders back and down and stack your head over your neck and pull your chin in slightly so that it's parallel with the floor. Let your hands rest on your legs. Breathe in. As you breathe out, twist your upper body, including your arms and head, to the right, but keep your hips facing front. Let your left hand hang over your left knee and put your right palm flat on the floor behind you. Look over your right shoulder. Stay there for several breaths. With each out breath, try to sit up taller and twist around farther. Slowly come out of the twist, cross your legs the other way, and repeat the twist in the opposite direction. Seated twist stretches the waist and neck and strengthens the muscles of the chest, back, and shoulders. If you find it hard to sit tall or to fall open, sit on a small pillow or folded blanket, or do it in any other seated position if you can. You can also do it in lotus or half lotus position as well. No, you don't have to be dead to do corpse pose. This is the classic position for yoga relaxation. As you do corpse pose, imagine that you can float above your body and look down at yourself. See yourself in a state of complete rest with every muscle relaxed. Lie on your back with your legs stretched out and slightly apart and your arms comfortably at your sides, palms facing up. You may want to put a rolled up towel under your knees, as this will help your lower back press gently onto the floor. Close your eyes. Mentally check your whole body from your toes to the top of your head. Note any stress, tension, or fatigue. Take a few breaths, and as you breathe out, let your stress and tension float out and away. Breathe slowly and smoothly.